Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's August 1st, 2016. CNN has put up this story this evening. Trump, I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged. If you're new here, I talk about how the media emphasizes phrases such as I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged. See how it has the emphasis on it? If you take these words in a headline that have the emphasis and you apply them to a Gematria calculator, such as the one at writingthebeast.com, the methods that you'll find most helpful are going to the English reduction. And this phrase, an English reduction, sums to, I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged. In case you're new here, the way that it gets this mathematical computation is just by using the alphabet. I's the 9th letter, so I equals 9. M's the 13th letter. Instead of adding plus 13, 1 plus 3 is 4. M is worth 4 in this method. Here, I'll do it again and you'll be able to see the breakdown. Let me zoom this in. You can see that it begins I, 9, M, 4. A is the first letter. F is the 6th. R is the 18th. 1 plus 8 becomes 9. You just do this for every single number, then you add it together. When I first started this research, I did everything by hand because I wasn't aware of these calculators. Anyway, what I want you to see is the significance of 187, the number coded into this phrase. The first recognized president of the nation, 33rd degree Freemason George Washington, in Gematria sums to 187. George Washington's 187. The Republican convention began this year on July 18th, written 18/7 in most parts of the world, a lot like 187. From day one of the Republican convention, July 18th in Cleveland. Cleveland equals 33. George Washington, a 33rd degree Master Mason. From July 18th to Inauguration Day is 187 days. And you know what this all means to me? It doesn't mean that George Washington's going to be the president. I don't think that's what the riddle's telling us. What I do think it's telling us is, like George Washington being the first president, Hillary Clinton is going to be the first female president. There's one more thing I want to show you about George Washington and Donald Trump. George Washington with the reduced method sums to 88, and the name Trump with simple English gematria sums to 88. These two interrelated methods, we talked about reducing the letters. With the simple way, you just add the whole letter. T's the 20th letter, R's the 18th, U's the 21st, M's the 13th, P the 16th, add them all together. 88. Donald Trump, check this out. Here's another good one with 88. From Queen Elizabeth's birthday to the day Donald Trump came out for the Republican convention, July 18th, from the Queen's birthday to Donald Trump coming out to Queen, he came out to Queen, we are the champions. That was 88 days, right? And if you didn't notice, at the Democratic National Convention, Elizabeth Banks mocked Trump. Queen Elizabeth Banks mocked Donald Trump coming out to Queen. They played the song We Are the Champions. My computer. We Are the Champions in Gematria sums to the same thing as United States of America. And if you've never checked out the book George Orwell's 1984, you have to read that book. It's about a futuristic nation of people ruled over by propaganda through screens, a nation that's always at war. Book 1984. There's also the show The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone Gematria of 84. You ever seen that show? It came out in the year 58. The first episode is about putting a man on the moon and putting him in this artificial environment where he's controlled over by screens and other gadgetry, and he's not really aware of his real environment. And when you think about that episode and the message of it, it really has a lot of parallels with us today. You know, people who continuously live in front of screens and boxes and rooms, not very much time out in the real world. Rod Serling, the writer of The Twilight Zone. Rod Serling in Pythagorean Gematria also sums to 58, like the year of the pilot of 1984, just like Freemasonry. and it's been Freemasonry running this nation from the beginning using this language of Gematria. English, Gematria, directly based upon one another. Look at the match. English, Gematria, Masonic, Jewish. The Hebrew alphabet is letters and numbers. Gematria, mostly a Jewish practice. It's based on the alphabetic order. So anyway, we got Donald Trump, 187. The GOP convention all around 187. 187 traces back to the first president. What would be unprecedented, what would be a first, is the first female president, Hillary Clinton. And all along, to me, it seemed like Donald Trump is running to be the stooge. Perhaps in the end I'll be proven wrong. Perhaps I'm reading the numbers backwards. But this is the way I read it. A lot of things line up for Hillary to be the next president. Apply this Gematria to your media headlines. You'll see what's really being communicated. You'll see what a show, what a rigged spectacle this whole thing is. I mean, people shouldn't even really need Gematria. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for president. Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee. You know, a TV actor, a woman that nobody really cares for that much. It's all getting crammed down our throats, truth seekers. So we got to wake up, recognize what it is, and shut it down. To close out with rigged elections, I've done 2 videos showing how this Kaiser Khan is truly a con man, not even a real Muslim, doesn't have a son that he lost in the war. He is a military-industrial complex agent. Look at this article right here from the Washington Post, major propaganda publication, published 322 March 22nd or 22/3. The number 223 is very important to Freemasonry. This article was published a year to the day that Operation Shock and Awe began in Iraq. The bombing that was shown on TV with the fancy headlines, Operation Shock and Awe, March 22nd. George W. Bush was the president, member of Skull and Bones that identifies by the number 322. Masonic has Gematria of 223 and Jewish. The Star-Spangled Banner, the nation's anthem, something with the 223 Gematria on it. 33 is the number of Freemason obsession, the flag established on a date with 33 numerology, the first state, so many things in the history of this nation coded by these Freemason numbers. In Revelation, it says the false Jews will rule in the end times. In this world, those are the people we call Jewish, the Zionist Jews. The synagogue of Satan equals 223. Notice in Jewish Gematria is 1201. It's Revelation that says the synagogue of Satan will rule in the end times. Revelation Gematria of 121. Very important number to this nation. But anyway, 322, that's the number for military-industrial complex, the reflection of 223. A lot of times these false flag terrorism centered around the number 223. And it's all for the military-industrial complex. In 2004, the election in the United States came down to George W. Bush and John Kerry, both former members of Yale's Skull and Bones that identifies by 322. Listen to this. Tim Russert would die years after by the numbers, directly connected his death to the number 223. Listen up.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number
of it.
322.
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee. And look, I look
Are you
forward.
prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds
322.
of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back.
So for asking those questions, Tim Russert would end up dying June 13th, 2008 at 2:23 p.m. And June 13th, 2008 was a date with 47 numerology. The word president equals 47, so does the word agent. Special number. Authority 47. He asked them in a presidential race what their affiliation was with 322. Ends up dying at 2:23 p.m. as it's reported. Also interesting is that it says he was picked up at 1:44 p.m. The number 144 is special. In Jewish Gematria, the word time equals 144. Each day there's 1,440 minutes, 24 hours times 60 minutes. The square root of 144 is 12. Think about 12 months in a year, time. 12 hours in the morning, 12 hours in the evening. So a special time to get picked up at. Also interesting that he dies at age 58. Remember, Freemasonry equals 58. With regards to 144, it's a special number connecting to pi. Tim Russert, from the day he did the first interview asking about the number 322 to the date he died was exactly 227 weeks. If you divide 22 by 7 on a calculator, you'll get 3.14, the number for pi. If you write out 22 divided by 7 in Gematria, it sums to 314, a lot like 3.14. Pi has to do with cycles and circles and time. The first 144 decimal points of pi, if you add them together, starting with 0.141 plus 4 plus the next 142 decimal points, it sums to 666. A number connecting to prophecy, future telling, time. All of these numbers have a relationship. And that's why they code this way. They all represent something. They have a mathematical significance. They have a worldly significance. And characters such as Donald Trump and these rituals by the numbers, he just becomes part of the system that's already existed long before any of us were around. This language of Gematria, it's been practiced for thousands of years. Revelation 13:18, which talks about 666. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. Has Gematria of 223. The number of the beast is 666. Time and beast have simple English Gematria of 47. Where I live here in Seattle, the Space Needle does a full rotation. Its rotating restaurant, not the entire Space Needle, it has a restaurant that rotates, does a full rotation every 47 minutes. Seattle up here on the 47th parallel. Again, Tim Russert, dead by the numbers on a date with 47 numerology. And the other thing about 187 and death is it's also the homicide code. On July 18th, 1984, there was a massacre at McDonald's in California where the homicide code for police is 187. That killing came 187 days after the death of Ray Kroc, who died January 14th, 1984. 187 days later on 18/7, a mass homicide at McDonald's. That was government propaganda by the numbers, just as Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton is another form of government propaganda by the numbers. All part of an agenda, all part of intimidation and duping the people. Where McDonald's is headquartered, just outside of Illinois, that town has a Gematria of 187. And think about what they do. Serve the world poisonous food. McDonald's and the government are one and the same. The separation is an illusion. Until next time, Truth Seeker Encore. One last point, Truth Seeker. Today's date, the date of these headlines about the rigged election from Trump, it's a date with 45 numerology, and this is a contest to be the 45th president. He's saying the contest for the 45th presidency to be rigged. All right, until next time.